Right, let me start off with a very tragic news that came in right before the weekend hit. Shefali Jariwala, Bollywood actor, a performer who died at the young age of 42. A sudden death that's left the nation stunned. Reports say the Katalaga girl that she's very popularly known for died of a cardiac arrest late on June 27th. Hours before, we hear that she had taken her routine anti-aging injection. According to her doctor, Shefali had been on glutathione and vitamin C based treatments for 8 years. These are substances that's used to lighten your skin tone and improve its texture, basically to look young. Now, that very evening when she passed away, we hear that she was fasting as she was observing a puja. And on that day, she had also taken that anti-aging injection. Around 10 to 11 p.m., she reportedly felt sick, began trembling and suddenly collapsed. She was rushed to the hospital in Mumbai where doctors declared her brought dead. Now, initial findings claim low blood pressure, cardiac arrest and severe gastric condition. Police recovered anti-aging strips and vitamin supplements, gas relief pills, all of that from her home. No signs of foul play so far. 8 people, including her family as well as doctors, all have been questioned. So what could really be going so wrong? She seemingly looked fit, very young. 42 is really very young for a heart attack, for a person especially who seems so fit, like Shefali. Doctors say administering anti-aging compounds like glutathione in a fasted or dehydrated state may dangerously lower blood pressure, putting stress on the heart. Remember, on the day that she was fasting for a puja, that day too she took her anti-aging injection. Could have been a trigger, but of course we're going to wait for final reports of post-mortem. Glutathione, the one that she was on in particular, is known to cause bloating and gastric issues. Now, reputed cardiologists say that most anti-aging injections are cosmetic, experimental and not backed by long-term cardiovascular safety studies. Let me take you through exactly what Mallika Sherawat, her, of course, friend and person within the film industry who's spoken after Shefali's death saying, I'm done with unnatural ways of looking young. We'll switch now to natural ways.
I just woke up and I thought I'll make this selfie video and share with you all. There is no filter that I'm using. There is no makeup that I've put on. I haven't even brushed my hair yet. This is the first thing I'm doing. I'm sharing this video with you so we all together can say no to Botox, no to artificial cosmetic fillers, and yes to life, yes to a healthy way of living.
Well, that's Mallika Sherawat who says no to Botox now. Shefali's death has renewed fears around rising heart issues among middle-aged individuals, especially those who appear perfectly fit. It's not just about Shefali here. We're looking at many influencers, actors, everyday people who are collapsing unexpectedly. Some, of course, blaming stress. Many others, their silent load of the modern lifestyle just not boding well. Final post-mortem report will give more clarity, of course, but one thing's clear, looking healthy isn't the same as being healthy. I'm joined by our doctors on the panel here, Dr. Deepali Bharadwaj, senior dermatologist and anti-allergy specialist and laser surgeon. We also have Mekhala Chandra, internal medicine and longevity physician. Thanks very much, the two of you, for joining us. I will start with Deepali Bharadwaj. Doctor, if you can give us a little sense on the glutathione vitamin C injections that Shefali was allegedly taking. Now, these are reports initially that has come out from testimonies given by the doctors of Shefali itself. So we're banking on those reports as per what her doctors have claimed, that she was on glutathione injections, which are anti-aging injections that basically help you stay young. Is it dangerous?
No. A big capital No, no. They are totally non-dangerous. We need to understand glutathione is the mother of antioxidant, which means that it is only, in fact, how was it discovered? It is used for severe cancer patients globally. so as to reduce the side effects of the chemotherapy given in cancer. What is dangerous? Overdosage, using counterfeit products, doing it on your own without discussing with your doctor. Doing it for 5 to 8 years can be also harmful. Also, glutathione is not at all known to be anti aging. For anti aging, there are other IV drips. And I don't know who is the doctor for Shifali. It's a very, very sad loss for her family and the country. But I feel if we have to discuss particularly with her death, we should have her doctor tell us what was the investigate, what was the injection given. In my practice, I've been giving glutathione, which is very safe. Ideally, nothing is safe. Even paracetamol is as dangerous as glutathione. But if the doctor has sound mind, has knows the knowledge of what dosage, how to give it, when to give it, it cannot be just given on empty stomach. You cannot be having dieting, and because a lot of Bollywood, I have a lot of patients in Bollywood who are dieting and doing water fasting, detox diet twice a week. It's very routine. Intermittent fasting is their routine, unlike for people, Punjabi people like us. So for them, the dosage, the schedule of glutathione has to really change than people like me up here in Delhi for Punjab. So, according to your body weight, according to your height, according to your cardiac activity is what these dosages have to be given. And anti-aging drip is not glutathione. Anti-aging drip is called NAD, which is quite in fashion these days. NAD, nicotinamide IV drips.
Let me bring in also the longevity expert, Dr. Mekhala. Your take on this, anti-aging pills or injections, the way that Shefali Jariwala may have taken. We hear her doctors also claim that she self-administered. She took these pills or injections on her own without proper doctor's consultation. Now, it's not new. I know of people who have multivitamins, who have pills that are rich in vitamin C, in glutathione. It's right now a daily go-to for people across the board, all over the world. Why do you think this may have proven dangerous to Shefali, who was also fasting on that very day when she took that injection?
See, I'd like to answer your questions in three prongs, right? So, first is the medication or the supplements itself. Now, the difference in these supplements, whether they're recommended or not, none of them are FDA approved for anti aging or for skin whitening. They were developed for a different reason, which is now abused as for different, aesthetic reasons. Now, when the dose is changed, people start self administering. There's also a chance that the contamination or the substance that you're using or the way you're using it, for example, if IV glutathione you give it really fast, it can cause like hypotension, which is probably what happened, and circulatory collapse. And so the administration route, the dosage, the frequency that the patient starts taking on her own or his own is extremely dangerous. These drugs or these supplements has to be given under medical supervision with people who know and are qualified to practice with what they're doing. Now, the second reason is why are we even forced to take these things? Somebody mentioned like NAD plus, right? NAD plus is the new, or actually it's a fad that has actually passed now, including rapamycin. These drugs, like they come out, they have quote unquote potential benefits, and then after that studies come out and they show like, hey, there was serious side effects to that. So people kind of abuse it. It's a trend. As I mentioned earlier, wellness has become a business. There is no method to this madness. And things need to calm down. Everything is just going out of hand, even for medical professionals. If one doesn't recommend, they will find a doctor who does, and then it starts the saga of disruption. So this needs to be controlled and regulated a lot more. And third thing I would like to point out is the social pressure that is created for people to even start abusing drugs. Nobody wants an IV in their body unless they need to, right? So why are we abusing this drug? What is the social pressure that is created for Bollywood or for any other person who's seeking them, right? So that thing needs to be also addressed. So my advice to anybody who's trying to take these supplements on their own, please discuss it with your doctor. There's only few supplements that have actually shown benefit in studies, which include vitamin D and omega fatty acids. Other studies that are still being done are not recommended as per now, and none of them are FDA approved.
So when you say it's risky, what's the first sign of risk should you note? What are the big no-nos when you're taking these anti-aging pills? First of all, they're so easily available. You have every possible cosmetologist, dermatologist, off-the-counter, pharmacies there selling you the best of drugs that will make you look young. There's certainly no control or limitation. So in your view, I mean, as much as we would want the government to really take control and draw the red line, maybe clamp down on the sale of these meds, what's your advice on people reaching out for these meds? What are the signs to look out for if it isn't suiting you? Dr. Dipali?
One, you can have anaphylaxis. You cannot take an IV drip sitting at home. Even I would not advise that you can call a nurse and do it at home. It has to be done in a doctor's clinic because we are equipped with always an emergency tray. All our staff, even the office boys, are well trained to do simple procedures like basic life support and give CPR. So I think one, from your channel, I would say nobody should take such supplements on their own. You should do regular blood tests. Even if you're taking a simple ashwagandha or some multivitamins, regular blood checkups should be done, especially if you have a good diet, because over vitamins, excess vitamins also leads to liver damage. If you are taking this kind of a drip, what protocol we follow is a specific, according to weight of the person and according to their physical activity, we calculate the dose and we never go on top of it. We have never done that in 10 years. Number two, you can always develop kidney damage due to it if you have been using it for more than 2 years. So there has to be regular blood tests, which is extremely important. Lastly, you should never take these supplements on empty stomach. Whenever you take it, you should have some slow, gradual eating with it. And after that, you should not really exercise for some time so that you're giving your body some time for these vitamins to go and circulate rather than go and sit in the body. So it's very important to follow a specific routine when you're on these kind of world-class level of vitamins and injections. I don't say you should not take them, but you have to take them very, very scientifically, which is very important.
But you said something very interesting that resonates. You say don't exercise post that. And I know for a fact that you have celebrities at least obsessed with their routine workouts. They also take these anti-aging medicines in whatever form of an injection or pill, but will not miss their routine workout. Why do you say it could be harmful while being on these meds and going to the gym at the same time? What pressure can it add to your heart? And of course, a natural question, is a healthy person or a person who appears to be very healthy and fit necessarily have a fit heart?
Well, actually, all of these are supposed to increase little bit of inflammatory markers also in the body, is what certain studies are saying, which even I figured out after, of course, this loss to the country, the Bollywood star. So, they increase inflammatory markers. Secondly, secondary to the COVID vaccine also, there are certain studies in America which are proving that inflammatory markers are increasing. The whole anti-aging process is supposed to be reducing inflammation in your body. And the biggest source of reducing inflammation is Sasta Tikau basic beetroot, which is rich in nitric oxide, which is actually anti-aging and reduces inflammation largely in the human bodies. So yes, if you're taking these supplements, you want to stay up to trend, no problem, but you have to do them scientifically. You have to meet your doctor who knows everything. And also you should get your regular blood test done. Whenever you're taking any boost of vitamins, etc., we don't say that, it has to be according to your weight, according to your cardiac activity, so that there is no pressure on any kind of a body organ also that, you're excessive working out. So
Dr. Dipali, I know when you say you got to get your regular checkups done, etc., how often can you get a heart check done, to actually go through a test to check your heart health? The doctors itself tell you don't come back to me before 2-3 years. If you've done it one round, how often do you get it done?
Once a year for people.
Once a year?
Like
is that what you recommend?
Yeah, I would.
All of it, the whole deal, endoscopy, etc., all of it.
No, not endoscopy, but yeah, cardiac markers surely after seeing such a high rise, double, triple of figures of cardiac arrest is definitely an alarm, and it's not something which anybody wants to hear and wake up to this kind of news. So getting cardiac markers once a year is definitely mandatory, and people who are into fitness, wellness, they must do it once in 10 months, 12 months for sure.
Okay, Dr. Mikala, of course, let me play out some of the images of many of the stars who unfortunately, sadly passed away young. If we could have those images there. That singer KK, we had from Karnataka, my state, Puneet Rajkumar, who died at the young age of 46. I knew for him to be so fit. He would never miss his workouts. You had, of course, comic Raju Srivastav, Siddhant Shukla, as we know, most famously we hear Siddhant and Shefali also briefly dated each other. She was remembering Siddhant Shukla just days before her death. So that's another eerie, you know, information that I got a little earlier today that really left me so worried about my health itself. I'd like to ask you, Dr. Mekhala, are we genuinely seeing a rise in cardiac events among youngsters, middle-aged individuals, or is it just more awareness now?
Actually both. It's interesting that you pointed out the awareness, but what's really happening is, see, first thing, everybody is different, right? Whatever family history they are carrying in their genes matters. Whatever work environment or the stress environment matters. What diet and regimen they are on also matters, and the physical routine. Some people like tend to push themselves too much. This is an industry which is very demanding in terms of physical and mental health. There's always stress, there's always tension, there's like irregular hours, the circadian rhythm is all messed up, not only for Bollywood but for other professions also these days. And what's happening is there's a lot of social media gyan, where people are not paying attention to the actual medical issues. And as Dr. Deepika mentioned about like the routine lab test, so I'm an obesity medicine physician by training, and we practice a lot of metabolic health and reduction of weight and then anti-aging or longevity. This is all a spectrum of one thing that is basically coming from your health. It starts with as basic as nutrition, right? So as you mentioned, I am a big fan of beetroot myself. Like, I give all my patients in any form beetroot, for example. And we have a lot of natural ingredients. What's happening is, because of time restrictions and all these fads that are happening without scientific evidence, people are just trying to have different things. They're trying to tag each other into it. My friend took it, they're having Botox parties, they're having like IV nutritional therapy parties. And it's become more of a aesthetic trend, whereas these drugs were developed for very different reasons. And most of them do not have a protocol attached to it, which is like affirmed by guidelines, like, for example, ADA guidelines or RSSTI guidelines. And so these are a lot in experimental phases, and people are practicing this. I'm a US trained physician, and I know in US especially, like, how these things are overused. And I agree. There are very rare doctors, such as my colleague here, who actually follow like a method. There's like lab monitoring. Even when my patients are losing weight, I make sure we check the inflammatory markers. You asked earlier in terms of cardiac health. There are markers that are more prognostic, which tells you like kind of whether you're at higher risk or not. Like homocysteine is one of them. Apolipoprotein B is one of them. We check that a lot, which is in your advanced cardiac lipid panel, if you ever want to look up it like commercially. But these are some things we do keep in mind, and they tell us the risk factors for what the patient holds. So for those kind of high risk patients, we do not recommend certain treatments. We don't recommend like keto, or we don't recommend aggressive approach. Some people just are born with like bad liver, or they have certain other abuses going on to it. So you want to avoid certain medications, and different medications have different side effects, and especially supplements, right? So basically the user has to be aware before they start or put anything in their body. Please go through a medical supervision, somebody who's knowing what is the exact quantity that should reach your body, because everybody is different. And so
Yeah.
what the dosage would be for me would be very different. As she mentioned, it's per kg. It's dependent on age. Different drugs are different variability. So please ask help, or seek advice from somebody who knows what they're doing. And of course the risk factors has to be monitored all the time. They can change aggressively. Like, for example, 6 months what you were before, now you may be different because of some stress induced in your life, right? So that
I
monitoring is
did
very
have, of
huge.
course, a lot of the triggers are gastric. You often your gut health is what leads you to believe that you're, having a chest pain, or almost leading to a heart attack or a cardiac arrest. Chest heaviness usually comes due to gut issues. So how often do you check your gut issues, which is why I brought up the endoscopy tests as well. I know of people now doing it so regularly because they're so worried about their digestive tract, their system, that I still cannot really put a finger on how many tests and how many number of times do you take it in a year to ensure you're safe.
So it's really not about tests. It's a very fascinating question you asked. Actually, the reason people are now paying attention, because suddenly gut health is a topic, right? From especially past 2 years.
Yeah.
I myself am a firm believer of gut health and brain axis and how it's connected. All of a sudden, we are like hearing probiotics and anything to boost your gut health. But truly it has always been there, especially with the Ayurvedic regimen, or like just the traditional home remedies we've been following at home, like curd and kanji and things like that. People have forgotten traditional food, and they mess around with different environments. Suddenly you're exposed in cold and you're in this AC concert, versus like all of a sudden you're outside in extreme hot temperature shooting, or whatever your profession requires you to sit for longer. So gut health, especially in Indian people, is like really really low, because we have inflammation in our body just by default, and we have something called as inflammation of adipose tissue, which is why our obesity and overweight is more inflammatory compared to Caucasian population. And so these things you see, when you talked about like early heart attacks, when you talked about poor gut health, it's a lot of inbuilt, because of we are turning to westernization in terms of processed foods and missing our home foods and the tradition that were meant to always support your gut health and other body health, like mental health also. So we're moving away from that, and that's why you can kind of see this trend. And so I would just recommend, and I do recommend to all my patients, just like bring that home remedy in. It's as simple. It starts at home. Health starts at home. It does not start at hospital or a clinic.
But no amount of home remedies can beat a glutathione vitamin C impact on your skin, right?
It could, you'll be surprised, but the regimen is and it's not an acute issue.
Well, let me bring in the cosmetologist, Dr. Dipali. Would it?
Well, it really could. I am not.
You'll have to consume nearly 20 watermelons, which you can otherwise do with one glutathione injection, I'm assuming.
Yeah,
Right?
there
So
are
you can't
shortcuts,
eat
but
that
then-
many watermelons, but one injection would do. But that's what these injections really do. When you can't consume that amount of food, you inject it to your body. But like you said, I get you. It's got to be measured, monitored. You can't do it on your own. You've got to check your health parameters. Because I know loads of actors, will not name them here, who are doing this on a regular basis. They're fine.
Leave actors. Look at those Instagram influencers. Look at the
Yeah.
common people who are following these actors. I have a lot
Yeah.
of such patients. I regularly get patients at my clinic, young girls who have purchased this glutathione online from websites like IndiaMart and Alibaba, etc. And they force my clinic that, Dr. Dipali won't allow. They'll tell my junior doctor and nurse, can you please inject and take a small piece? And there's a strict no to it, because we don't know who's the supplier, whether the cold chain was maintained, whether it's a counterfeit product. There is no solid distributor for these products. So they're basically getting it from grey market. And if Dr. Dipali injects, it'll be the death or some kind of a complication at Dr. Dipali's clinic. So we are completely no for it. But I know of centers who land up falling prey to such clients, and they actually give them those injections. So it's a very, very sad scenario.
So from what I get from you, it's not unsafe, but surely we need better, stricter medical protocols for these anti-aging and aesthetic treatments. So best to get to your doctor, don't self-administer. That's really the bottom line I can get from this. I really appreciate both of you, Dr. Dipali and Mekhala, for joining us.